So I'm going to show you my setup here. This is underneath my deck. I'm going to change the oil in this. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to use some 5W30. This is an old generator, but it's never failed me and it works great. And I converted it to propane. So I keep it covered. I made like a little cover up here to keep the direct rain off of it. We don't have a carbon monoxide problem because this is a deck and it's all open. Yes, there are windows down here, but they're closed. So look, this is an old, when I say old, maybe 10 years old. Westinghouse 7500. So it's 7500 or 8500. 8500 starting watts and 7000 running watts. They give you directions on how to change the neutral, so I changed it to a floating neutral. I also used a kit made by US Carburetion to do a motor snorkel. It's basically just before the carburetor, you take this all off, and before the carburetor you put their little gasket that goes into the propane. So I'm not explaining it too well, but you can convert this without drilling into the carburetor to propane. We already had a propane tank buried in our backyard for our pool, and somebody ran the propane into the house over here. See the regulator? Because we have a stove upstairs. So what I did was I tapped into that line, I teed onto it, brought it back out here, and I put a quick disconnect. And for the first few years, I was connecting it up when we lost power, but now I just leave it. I also put this inlet box over here, and same deal. I used to keep the cord inside. Now I just keep the cord plugged into the inlet box. I don't know if there's you consider there's a breaker, but we use it like an on-off switch, just a secondary switch. This thing has been great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run this. Oh, and one other thing. It came with a small battery, but what I did was I took an old car battery that when I changed the battery in my car, you can exchange the core for they give you $5 back. I didn't exchange it. And I have a little solar panel. What you see here is the solar panel that sits on my deck. It's staked down so it can't fly off if it gets windy, and it collects some sun. My deck faces southwest, and that just heads down to under the deck where it goes into the controller, which you're going to see right now. So this is where that wire comes down, right here. This is the charger, so it's totally charged now. This is the controller, actually. This is, what does it say? Instapark INCC 1205 PMW solar charger. So this just gets hooked up right to the battery. One goes to the positive. I made it so there's 2 leads on each battery. I just bought an extender. One goes to the generator, and one just goes to this charger. And I leave it like this so I can make sure, just by glancing down here, I can make sure it's charged. I can see that green. When the batteries run down, it flashes and it maintains the charge. It just keeps it from overcharging. So during the day, it trickle charges it, so his battery stays charged. You can start this thing electrically, or you can start it manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it up. I'm going to let it run for a couple minutes, just so that the oil gets thinner, and then I'll turn it off once the engine's warm, and I'll change the oil. And while this is running, I'll show you what this can run inside the house, because it's basically everything. Besides the central air conditioning, this can run the entire house. All right, so I'll show you how we start this up. But you turn that on. In the back of this, you can hear, listen. That primes it. And then hopefully we can just go to on and run it. It should start right up. So I'm gonna let that run for about 5 minutes so that the oil gets warm. But that motor snorkel kit by US Carburetions has worked great. And I could run it for a week straight, 24/7. So I can run it 24/7 if we're out of power. And I've run it for quite a while. Let's see where we are here. We're at 70%. So 70% of 500 gallons. The highest it ever goes is 80%. Because with propane, there's an allowance for air in the tank. So the tank is buried over there. Like I said, it could run for a solid week. So while this is going, what I'm gonna do, and while it's warming up before I change the oil, I'll just show you what this thing can run in our house. All right? So again, 8,000 watts starting, 7,000 watts standard, and I have a 30 amp breaker. It's hooked to a 30 amp inlet cord. So I can run my 2 refrigerators. 1, 2, and there's freezers underneath. It runs my wine cooler, same time. The ice maker. All the lights. Runs the well pump. The water softener. The oil-fired boiler. All the outside lights. And there are a bunch of them. Dishwasher. Coffee maker. Microwave. Garage door openers. Alarm system. I'll tell you what it doesn't run, but I've never tried. Washer dryer. Doesn't run this 50 amp double oven. And it doesn't run our central air conditioner units. We have 2 3-ton units. One more thing I just want to mention. This is by my breaker box. I don't have great lighting over here, so it just have a flashlight. I have something attached to the breaker box called Power Back, THP 108. I'm going to turn it on right now so you can hear what it sounds like. That means that there's power coming in through the main. Okay, so you buy this, it's battery operated, and there are 2 leads. You take the front off the panel, and you gotta be careful because the power coming in, even if you shut off the power to the house, the power coming in is live. But you wrap the leads that they give you instructions. The leads get wrapped around the power coming in from the utility. And when the power goes out to your house, you flip the switch on. You put the house to generator power, and when the power comes back from the utility, it makes that noise. So what it does is it saves you from having to figure out if the power to your house is back on. In other words, if you have an emergency standby generator that's automatic, it automatically shuts itself off. It automatically shuts itself off when the power comes back from the utility. Typically, all my neighbors don't have those, so nobody really knows when the power is back. What this thing does is when you put the generator on, you flip that little switch on, and it'll be silent. It won't make that noise. The only reason it made that noise is because we have power from the utility right now. So when power comes back, usually what we'll do is we'll sleep with the basement door open so we can hear that up in the bedroom. And when the power comes back on, we know to shut the generator down and go back to utility power. All right, great thing. When you should shut it down, like this. That's really the way to shut it down. So what I'd like to do is raise this up a little bit. So let me grab a rock. See if I can raise the front and raise the back, and then I can get the oil. It is hot. I can. All right, there's that. All right, that's something. All right, so it's raised up a little bit. Let's see if I can get this underneath. Yep, that should work. See? All right, it's tilted back enough, so when I open that, the oil should come out. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna open the fill cap. 12 millimeters it is. Let's see if I can break this free without killing myself. There we go. I totally expect this to go all over the place. All right, let's see how this works. All right, so oil's draining out. As you can see, sorry it's dark. So let it drain out. Try to catch as much of this as I can. All right, well, stop dripping. I'm just gonna do it hand tight for a minute here. See if I can slide this out. Good. Now, unfortunately, there's no oil filter. So I'm going to take the rock out of here. I'm going to take this out. Okay. Let me just see. What I'm going to do is get like a little something to catch any extra oil. I'm just going to let the last drop. I'm going to open this up again and see if there any more flows out of here. Now that it's level. I think the answer is going to be no. Just going to stick a little cloth in here and see. No, that is empty. Turn it a little bit here towards here. No, that's empty. All right, so we're gonna screw that back on. Just tighten it up. And then we'll fill this with the oil. We'll call it a day. Somewhere around almost a gallon, almost around a quart. So let's put this And according to Westinghouse, full is when you have to screw the cap back in. So let's fill this. It came with a quart of this stuff when I first bought this. So I assume it's going to take somewhere around the quart. All right. So let's test this. Yep, and we're right in the middle there. All right, so that's what you gotta do. It's gotta be all the way up there. All right. So that's that. I took the whole quart, only a drop spilled. Let's wipe this up. So for some reason I lost the audio here, but I'm taking out both of the filters. There are two of them, and unfortunately they were in backwards. When I say backwards, there's a coarse one and a fine one. That's the fine one. That's supposed to be second, closest to the carburetor. And the first one is supposed to be the coarse one, so I put them back in that order. I'm just going to take whatever I have lying around, OW20. Got those marks. This one goes first. That's the finer one. Then the coarse one goes on the outside. So let's see if I can get this back on easily. That.